Back to dignity, that's the call of the day. Where purpose hits different and hope finds its way. Investing in people and helping folks win at life. Turning struggle into power, turning pressure into light.
Hi, are you a subject matter expert on any topic, any subject, anything that you're really great at that you want to discuss today?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert in anything, but I do have a lot of knowledge with the whole mental health, as well as the substance abuse with the mental health, as well as basically the African American community in mental health.
Okay.
So I do have a lot of knowledge in those aspects.
Okay. And we said a lot of knowledge. What does that mean? Does that mean that from experience, from storytelling, from studies, from what?
A lot of it is from experience and storytelling, because my mom, my grandma, my aunt come home with their stories because they're also BHTs. So they have basically a lot of stories to come home and tell me with.
Okay. And BHT, what is a BHT exactly?
A behavioral health technician.
Okay. And what do they typically do, BHTs?
So from my understanding, it's more of a professional name for someone who's working in the hospital with the mental patients.
Right.
As well as then distributing the meds, taking psychiatric tests and things like that.
Right.
I don't know hand by hand what they do, but that's a gist of it. Yeah.
And I like what you're saying, and you're being very honest that you're not a subject matter expert. What we're going to talk about today is from your experiences and from stories that you've heard over your time of experience and from other people, right? And as a BHT, because again, I used to have a behavioral health agency years ago, and our BHTs were basically like a behavioral health coach.
Yeah.
So they would be with the client. We would teach them skills, redirection if needed. We would, obviously do redirection, teach them how to cook. A lot of our kids in our group home played sports, football, basketball. They ran track. So it's just basically modeling good behavior is kind of what we did, and plus the medication and things like that.
Yeah.
Took notes and stuff like that. All right, so you said that you have mental health experience.
Yes.
And along with substance abuse. So tell me about that. So mental health and substance abuse.
So my first experience, I was 17. I worked in a homeless shelter, and we housed the chronically ill. And basically with that, it starts off with their substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or whatever the case that may be. But as I was working in there and I'm working close to the people, I'm learning that a lot of them do have mental health issues that started the substance abuse.
That makes sense, and that sounds right. Again, I'm not a subject matter expert neither, but what I hear and what I've kind of seen is like people may have an underlying issue that's not diagnosed or fully detected, but if and when they get involved with heavy drinking and alcohol or drugs, that really brings out that mental illness at that point.
Yeah.
So again, you've seen that in a homeless shelter that you said they're addicted to drugs or have alcohol issues, and then
so it's called chronically ill.
Chronically ill.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Okay. And I wonder why they call it chronically ill. Any idea on why they call it that?
I don't know.
It's kind of very general term.
Because I believe it's more so everything in a nutshell.
Yeah,
instead
it's very
of
general.
pinpointing, because everybody's problem isn't the same.
Right.
So it's a general standpoint.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Any experiences, say in the community, the Black community here? Again, we're in the United States of America. I know we got listeners throughout the world.
Yeah.
But here in America, and the Black community or the African American community here, do you think that we acknowledge mental illness? Do we pay attention to mental health?
I could say in from back then, no, it wasn't.
Back when though? Like then
so
meaning what?
I'll say back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It wasn't acknowledged. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't, offered help anywhere like that. Nowadays, we're getting more in tune with ourselves and our community to better our community in the whole.
Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think we're getting more attention?
To be honest, I don't know why that is the case. I do know that it is the case, and it's becoming bigger. I really just feel because we are tired of basically just, oh, something's wrong with him, he's sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just that. It's something deeper than he's just mentally ill, he's just sick. Like, it's just something going on with him.
He's just acting crazy.
Yeah, like, you know, so it's like, now we're getting more in the professional standpoint of it's not just he's acting crazy, he's acting out. Why is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Going back into actually listening to people and knowing what happened or knowing what they're battling and going from that point of sense. So,
do you think, at least in our community, when we acknowledge that somebody has, let's call it a mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you know when they have a mental illness, do we look at it like that's a weak-minded person?
And generally in our culture, it is. It is looked at
even
as
today, 2024.
2024. I don't think it's looked at as that anymore. I don't think because more people of our community are more comfortable with coming out and saying, "Hey, something's wrong. I need to step back from my professionalism or whatever I got going on to actually sit in myself and realize, you know, what's actually going on with me." I think it's because it's becoming more, you know, looked at as, you know, just needing a little bit more help. I believe that's another reason why a lot of the Black athletes are coming out like, hey, you guys look at us, you know, as some type of higher level.
Yeah.
So if we're taking our time to
Right.
be like, hey, something's going on with me, mental health issues or things like that, it makes us a little bit more comfortable. Like, hey, you're out in front of the world, you're saying something is actually wrong with you, and it's nothing like you're doing something wrong or you're being looked at as just crazy.
Right.
So it gives us a little in our step to be like, you know what, it's okay to have whatever's going on with me, and I need to be able to figure it out, things like that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that some famous people have come out. I know Simone Biles came out with a more mental health than an illness, right? I think anxiety is a mental illness, so she came out with that. I know DeMar DeRozan. He's from Compton, California. He played for the Chicago Bulls for a period of time, the Raptors for a period of time. Now he's with the I think the Kings, Sacramento Kings. He came out with some anxiety and depression. Kevin Love, who won a championship with LeBron James, the Cavaliers, came out with his depression. Michael Phelps, who lives here, and I think he's in Scottsdale. I think he come out with depression or something of that nature. Again, if you're listening, if I said that wrong, if Michael Phelps came out with something different, you know, I know he came out with, he said something. I think it was depression. I'm just not quite sure, but I think it was depression. So you saying that famous, renowned people disclosing something personal about their health is making it a little bit more comfortable for others to talk about.
Yeah, I do feel like that definitely plays a part in our community because we look at people like, okay, he's an African American. If he can be okay with coming out on national TV and be like, something, I have to take a break, step back with whatever the case may be, they'll be more. Also, people are now realizing that mental health isn't just one thing.
Right.
It's a plethora of things under the mental health umbrella. So people realizing that it's not just one simple thing, it makes them feel a little better about it and be like, okay, you know, it is different genres and aspects of that. So it's like, you know.
Now when you say different plethoras, like are you
like a plethora of things, a bunch of things. It's a bunch of different.
Like what though? Like what? Like
schizophrenia, anxiety, depression.
It sure is.
You know, those
intellectual disability. You know, autism. You know,
and also there's also the physicalness of it too. So people have cerebral palsy and things like that as well. So it's different things under the mental health umbrella that people are now realizing that it's not just one simple
thing, right? I think before possibly people thought maybe schizophrenia.
That's the main thing.
But you're right. There's probably 20 plus. Again, I don't know how many, but there's a lot. There's a plethora,
it's
right?
A lot.
Like you said, right?
It's a lot.
Okay, so let's dive more into the substance abuse. Do you have any stories? Anybody, without saying any names? Again, all the males we call Joe. What is it? John Doe. Females we call Jan Doe. Okay, just to keep everything confidential. Do you know any stories or anyone that substance abuse kind of brought out a mental illness in them?
I can say that I believe, especially in the African American community, we all have a family member or have, like a close friend or something like that that has a mental illness that uses a substance abuse to cover that up, and it becomes more of an act out than rather than just going and get that, therapy or professional treatment. So personally, I do know someone who uses substance abuse, coinciding with the mental illness. She recently did just pass away of not natural causes, but because of the substance abuse, it led to that. So I believe we definitely have everybody has at least one or two people, you know what I'm saying, that has that. And it's usually like, I'm not gonna say usually, but it's more common in the older generation because their generation, they grew up with the hospitals and things like that. So it takes them a little bit more time to get comfortable with the nowadays and being comfortable with the current emotions that's going on with mental health.
Yeah, you're right, Ty.
Back to dignity, that's the call of the day. Where purpose hits different and hope finds its way. Investing in people and helping folks win at life. Turning struggle into power, turning pressure into light. Pull back the curtain, let the real ones speak. Truth in the stories that we drop each week. From the front line hustle to the heart chat. The backstage podcast is where it's at. When the world gets heavy, come and take your seat. Where the mission is strong and the message is deep. Back to dignity. We're on that path, so step in the circle where the truth feels right. Where the grit meets the grace and the dark finds the light. If you're seeking direction, we can help with that. Yeah, the backstage movement keeps you coming back. Pull back the curtain, let the real ones speak.
Pull back the curtain, let the real ones speak. Truth in the stories that we drop each week. From the front line hustle